What's happening, Raider Nation? And welcome to the post-game review, Week 16 at the Raider Critique, where the Denver Broncos fell to the Oakland Raiders 27-14. Now, what I would like to do is go over the stats like we always do, and then I want to give my appreciation and shout-outs to the football team for the way they played in our supposed final game in Oakland, California at O.co. So let's hop into the intro and get this episode started. So here we are, Raider Nation, and we're basically right now we are looking, I want to go over here to the Broncos right quick, just because of the way this game was played. This is something that I didn't know that we could actually do, and that was keep the Broncos up underneath 300 total yards, passing and running. And it was a beautiful sight to see with this football team, man. They all came together last night, and it all started off with this play here. Everybody remember seeing this? I'm sure they do. I'm sure they remember seeing exactly this. Look at this. This is probably the most beautiful play you're ever going to figure out. Look at this dude. There he goes. There he goes. There he goes. Oh, God. So, I'm telling you right now, I was like, go, motherfucker, go! Go, dog, go! Yeah! Because I'm telling you, man, that dude right there was that was the momentum change right there. That started everything. Now, I'm telling you right now, man, Case Keenum only went 23 of 37 for 202 yards. Not bad. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Here's the big surprise right here when it came to the defense, man. Defense shut down Phillip Lindsay. 10 carries for 46 yards. He was averaging 4.6 yards a carry. It looked like that they basically got away from the run game because they knew they couldn't do it because they had to play from behind. And Devontae Booker had 3 carries for 21 yards. Royce Freeman had 7 carries for 21 yards. Case Keenum was forced to run 3 times for 19 yards. Tim Patrick, looking like Darius Hayward-Bay, 1 rush for -7. Now, Cortland Sutton had 6 receptions for 65 yards on 1 touchdown. Tim Patrick had 3 receptions for 44 yards, 0 touchdowns. Deshaun Hamilton had 6 receptions for 40 yards, 1 touchdown. Devontae Booker, 3 receptions for 21 yards on 5 targets. So, we did shut down the screen game. They weren't throwing it to the running backs like they would normally do. And from the look of it, I don't really think they hit their tight end very much, which is actually a real good sign. It was showing that we were isolating the middle of the field. Now, Case Keenum had a fumble, but he didn't lose it. But he also threw 2 interceptions. Now, Derek Carr went 19 of 26 for 167 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Yeah, I know those aren't great numbers, but he did what he had to do to get us to win. And with him and Jordy Nelson, they were moving the chains. Now, the biggest surprise on offense was the muscle hamster, Doug Martin, 21 carries for 107 yards and a touchdown. Beautiful touchdown run up the side. I would show it to y'all, but I'm already afraid that I'm going to get flagged, and they're probably not even going to let anybody watch this in the States because I showed that highlight of the punt return. Now, Jalen Richard had 4 carries for 11 yards, 1 touchdown. He was averaging 2.8 yards a carry. DeAndre 1 for -1, and Derek Carr was forced to run 4 times for -3. Now, Jordy Nelson came back and showed up again today with 7 receptions, 75 yards. Jalen Richard had 4 receptions and 40 yards. Yes, that's right. We're throwing it to our running backs because we don't have a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. And to be honest with you, even with Jordy Nelson's age, he's a number 2 at best. Jared Cook, 2 for 20. He was being covered and double covered all game long to where we couldn't get him the ball. I was actually quite glad that we were able to disperse the ball the way we did to be able to move the ball and score touchdowns. Now, I'll tell you what. Sorry about that. I'll tell you what, man. Derek Carr had a lost fumble, and Nicholas Morrow was the guy who made Case Keenum fumble on his tackle. This was a wonderful standout with our interceptions, man. Marcus Gilchrist with that beautiful read interception that he pulled off. And then Eric Harris putting the cherry on top, getting the second interception to ice the game. Our pass rush was actually there. Our defensive line was penetrating their offensive line. We had Case Keenum on his back foot most of the game. We really did. Now look, Rashawn Melvin had 11 tackles. Tahir Whitehead had 8 tackles. Carl Joseph had 5 tackles. Marcus Gilchrist had 4 tackles. Nicholas Morrow had 3 tackles. I mean, we were doing absolutely excellent when it came down to it. And the defense stepped up. Get rid of that motherfucker. Even fucking Benny Ben Weekry, or whatever the hell his name is, fucking had a tackle. So, I mean, and it doesn't really show on our offensive line, but Clint McDonald was on 4 assisted tackles. PJ Hall had a tackle. But we were absolutely developing on this team. And I'm just going to be honest with you, Raider Nation. It was great to see this team actually come out and play like we know they can play. Because when it comes down to it, when we were looking at it last week, we didn't know how the outcome of this game was going to be. We didn't know on which team was going to show up. This was the potential last game in O.Co., Oakland Alemeda Collisium, in front of these awesome Oakland Raider fans who show up day in and day out. Whether we lose or win, they're always there, making sure they fill that stadium up. But for them to give us a performance like they did, it was just absolutely wonderful to see the organization, the team, the coaching staff, and even the fan base all come together to overcome the Denver Donkeys. And I'm telling you, it was extremely hard for us to do, and even though we might have went down a draft spot or two, this game was a must-win, especially for the morale of the football team and us fans ourselves. It really is something that when you start talking about this fan base and you start talking about everything, we have been so divided, regardless on what we all believe. Politics has divided our fan base, and it's reared its ugly face into football, especially on our football team, and it's been like that since 2016. Now, the slideshow you guys are seeing is this wonderful stadium that we're about to leave, and all these wonderful fans who pay to see this football team every Sunday and every football game that they have there. This stadium has been up since 1962. It's one of the oldest stadiums, if not the oldest stadium, still in use in the continental United States for a football and Major League Baseball stadium. They have done renovations, but not the renovations that you would actually expect from a stadium that is so old, that is filled with such history. Now, we all know that as Raider fans, you either stand on one side or you stand on the other when it comes to where this team should be. It's not the fans' fault that the Raiders are moving. It's definitely not the fans' fault because they show up all the time. We fill those stands, whether it's home or away. And the ones who actually get to go to these home games and go and check out that stadium, you know, those are your breadwinners. Those are your diehards. They're always going to be there through thick and thin. And it's a damn shame that these fans, the Oakland-based fans, have to deal with the politics. The politics that's ruining all of football. And you know what I'm talking about because it's already been infiltrated its ugly face in 2016, changing the whole game and actually having the NFL lose fans. Now, regardless of what you believe, and regardless of how you feel about the city of Oakland and the Raiders moving, there's only one area to blame. And it's not us fans. We've been there. Okay? I'm a man that feels that any person gives their word, you keep it. You do everything humanly possible to be able to keep your word. The bottom line is, in 1995, the Raiders were promised a new stadium. Not a new section in the old stadium, but a new stadium. It's why they moved from Los Angeles back to Oakland. This is what was promised to the team. It's not the fans' fault that the politicians in Oakland dropped the ball. It's not Mark Davis's fault that the city of Oakland could not keep their word. And they refused to keep their word. Now, it sucks that the politicians are the ones who are affecting what goes on with this football team, because if it wasn't for the politicians lying to begin with to the Raiders may never have left Oakland. And that's the bottom line. That is the absolute bottom line. And these wonderful people that you are seeing in this slideshow here is the heart of the Raider Nation. These people here will dress up, they will go out there, they support the team every aspect, and they will pay no matter what price for those seats. They show up to every game. And to hear them in the crowd telling Mark Davis to fuck off is disheartening and it's disrespectful. Because it was not Mark Davis's fault that the city of Oakland dropped the ball. I'm not known to feed into the corporate bullshit here. Okay? But there is a such thing as called right and wrong. They want to talk about illegal. That it's illegal to move the Raiders. But isn't it illegal morally to break your word? And who suffers for it? Yes, the politicians and the city of are going to suffer because of the assets that the Raiders bring into the city of Oakland, yes. But the fans who don't get to go to these games anymore, the fans who don't get to see history being made, these fans who know that the Raiders belong to them and the city of, the Oakland fans, are not going to be able to see these games anymore unless they go over to Vegas. Or wherever we decide to go, because next year is up in the air. Now, regardless or not, these fans are still going to show up, and they're always going to be there. Just like I am always going to be here doing a show about the Raiders. At least until we have divided up far enough and I can't seem to take it anymore. But I do need everybody to try and understand. Stop being mad at the team. Stop being mad at the owner. And be mad at your political officials that are in California, that are in Oakland, that don't know how to operate, who don't know how to manage money. You have leaky sewers in the Collisium. People who have, and teams like the Athletics who have said they've gotten E. coli from the Collisium. If that doesn't mean you need renovations, I don't know what is. I've even heard of rats being in the vending machines. But you want to complain that that the Raiders are going to take all the revenue out of the city when you weren't taking any of that money that the Raiders were making for you and dumping it into the stadium. Like you promised. You made Mount Davis and then you called it good. What about the sewer problems? What about all the other problems that go on with the city and how the crumbling foundation? All I'm saying, Raider Nation, is think before you speak. Disrespecting Mark Davis when it's not Mark Davis's fault. That's absolutely outrageous and absurd. Outrageous and absurd. And I suggest that you do your research before you make a decision. The Raiders were forced into this decision because of the dishonesty from the city of Oakland. Not the fans, the politicians that you fans elected into your offices. There it is, Raider Nation. There it is. That's all of it in a nutshell. Now you can like it, you can hate it, you can do whatever you want with it. But it's truth. It's so damn true, it reaches out and smacks you in the face. And we're definitely all getting a smack in the face, Raider Nation. Especially if the fucking Raiders go to San Diego next year. So anyway, I do want to appreciate everybody for tuning in to the post-game review for Week 16. We got that win against the Denver Broncos at our supposed last game at our original home field in Oakland, California at O.co. And I do want to appreciate all the new subscribers and all the old subscribers who have come to the channel and supported me, everybody who has hit me up on Twitter, dudes who have given me ideas for shows, which, Enrique, man, this is all for you, bro. This whole slide is for you, man. This was your idea. Even though you really wanted me to go over a history of O.co, but I honestly have just not been feeling up to it. But I honestly appreciate every single one of you who come to the station, who come and leave your comments, who come and check me out on Twitter. And you know, if it wasn't for all of you, I wouldn't do this. If it wasn't for the football team that I love so dearly, I wouldn't do this. And I want to give a shout out to Mikey Raider for the new sound setup. As you can see, everybody, this is where it's at. Don't be using no 1990s analog bullshit, because if you do, you're going to have shitty sound like I had all season. Thank you, Mikey Raider. This motherfucker right here is badass, and I'm pretty sure that everybody can figure out why I say that, because I sound a whole lot better. So anyway, this is the Raider Critique. I'll be coming at you guys with a pregame video for Week 17 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody have a wonderful and Merry Christmas and a happy holiday and happy Kwanzaa and Hanukkah and all that other stuff, man. However many other religions out there, whatever holiday you celebrate, I hope you have a wonderful one. And I'm going to go ahead and sign on out of here, and I will see you guys for the pregame. The Kansas City Chiefs against the Oakland Raiders. And the sad thing about it is we're playing them in Kansas City.